The Galactic Council Hall loomed like a fortress of marble and glass, suspended in endless night above the dying star of Xyranth. Its surface shimmered with gold-lined etchings, each carved by a different civilization as tribute to the so-called unity of the stars. Beneath the gleaming facade, Admiral Marcus Hale knew, lay arrogance older than Earth's first colonies. He walked the main causeway alone, boots ringing against obsidian stone polished smooth by centuries of alien dignitaries. The delegates flowed past him in silks, metallic robes, and glimmering scales. Some towered on spindly limbs, others floated on cushions of light. Hale wore no ornament. Just the deep navy uniform of Earth's orbital defense fleet, unadorned save for the silver insignia at his collar. He was here to represent humanity, not to bow. Guards of the Council's Praetorians tracked his steps, their armor faceted like insect carapace, faces hidden behind mirrored helms. Hale ignored them. He had been summoned, not invited, and he meant to remind them that Earth answered summons on its own terms. The chamber doors opened, unveiling an amphitheater vast enough to hold a small city. Rings of seats curved upward in layers, occupied by representatives of hundreds of species. At the center stood the speaker's dais, elevated and radiant. Chancellor Vareth, Supreme Speaker of the Council, waited there, tall and lean, his eyes pools of pale fire. His robes shifted color with each movement, red to violet, as though designed to remind others of power beyond comprehension. Admiral Hale of Earth. Vareth's voice thundered through hidden amplifiers. You stand before the Council of Civilizations. Know that what we speak here is law. Hale halted at the podium reserved for supplicants. He clasped his hands behind his back. I stand, he said evenly, because Earth chooses to. Nothing more. Murmurs rippled through the terrace. The Council disliked bluntness. They thrived on ceremony, on labyrinthine phrases that obscured threats beneath velvet words. Hale's refusal to play the game already set teeth on edge. Vareth lifted a clawed hand. Humanity has risen quickly, too quickly. Your fleets expand beyond reason, your colonies multiply without oversight. The Council finds this dangerous. Therefore, he drew out the word like a blade. Integration is necessary. Earth must commit to stability. A projection shimmered into being, stipulations, written in a dozen scripts. Hale read in silence as Vareth recited. First, Earth was to deliver annual tribute of minerals and rare elements to the Council treasury. Second, Earth's fleets were to be reduced by 3/4, leaving only patrol craft under Council supervision. Third, Earth's colonies would be frozen, future expansion requiring direct approval. This ensures harmony, Vareth concluded, and spares humanity from misfortune. The word echoed. Threat cloaked as mercy. Hale let the silence hang until the murmurs stilled. Then he said, Tribute is extortion. Our fleet defends us, nothing more. Expansion is our lifeblood. These demands are not integration, Chancellor. They are shackles. Gasps, hisses, guttural growls filled the chamber. Delegates leaned toward one another in outrage. Some spat curses in languages Hale did not know. A Trinarch ambassador's tendrils writhed, signaling offense. Vareth's smile never faltered. Strong words from a species that has not yet weathered 1,000 years in the stars. Do you think Earth can stand alone against all who sit here? Hale met the Chancellor's glowing eyes. If the choice is between slavery and solitude, we stand alone. The Council erupted in a storm of noise. Crystalline voices clashed with guttural roars, and chittering wings beat the air. Hale remained still, letting their anger wash over him. Vareth raised his hand again, silencing the hall. His tone sharpened, stripped of false courtesy. You misunderstand, Admiral. This is not negotiation. This is the will of the Council. Refuse, and consequences will follow. Others once resisted. None remain. Hale's jaw tightened. He thought of Earth's cities, of children beneath blue skies, of the generations who had bled to claim the stars. He thought of the sacrifices that had forged humanity's fragile foothold. To surrender here would be to tell them it was all for nothing. He leaned forward, voice calm, words precise. Humanity does not kneel. Not now. Not ever. A stillness followed, sharper than any outcry. The council chamber froze, disbelief hanging heavy. Then came the storm, shouts, demands for sanction, cries for punishment. The Chancellor's composure cracked. His voice rose, layered with menace. Then Earth will bear what comes. Defiance carries a price. Hale inclined his head slightly, the closest he would give to formality. So be it. Without waiting for dismissal, he turned and walked from the dais. Every eye followed. Some glittered with contempt, others with a flicker of something else, unease, perhaps, even respect. The heavy doors closed behind him, muffling the storm of alien fury. The causeway stretched before him again, a long corridor lit by golden fire. His escort followed, weapons ready, but none dared block his path. Outside, the station's viewing wall unveiled the scarred star of Xyranth, its light spilling weakly into the void. Beyond, the constellations burned, cold, distant, unyielding. Hale paused only once, studying that endless horizon. The council believed their word law. They had forgotten that law ended where defiance began. Humanity had stepped into the storm willingly. The consequences would come. He whispered to himself, not for the recorders, not for the council, but for Earth. We stand. Then he walked on, steady, resolute, the weight of humanity's fate on his shoulders, the echoes of defiance following him into the dark. Admiral Marcus Hale stood at the viewport of the flagship Resolute as Earth's curve glowed beneath him, oceans flashing silver under sunlight. It was beautiful, fragile, and very far from safe. The Council's threats followed him back across the void, and already their shadows stretched over every human world. "Admiral," said Commander Elias Rourke, his second in command, "the Council broadcast went public within the hour. They've labeled us a destabilizing force. Civilian channels are carrying it non-stop." Hale turned. Rourke's jaw was tight, eyes burning with restrained anger. Around them, the command deck buzzed with muted tension. No one needed reminding of what was at stake. "Let them say what they like," Hale replied. "Words are weapons. Ours are steel and fire." Rourke gave a grim smile but didn't relax. Council pressure. The first days after Hale's defiance brought a cascade of pressure. Long-standing trade agreements with neighboring species collapsed overnight. Supply convoys were diverted. Alien fleets began patrol exercises near human borders, their movements carefully designed to intimidate. In Geneva Orbital Command, the Leadership Council gathered around a holomap. Red markers spread along the edges of human-controlled space, showing foreign flotillas pressing close. "They want us boxed in," said Fleet Marshal Nyla Tran, voice cold. "Starving us before they ever fire a shot." General Harland of the Ground Defense Forces folded his arms. "If they blockade us, we can't feed the colonies. They'll collapse inside a year." Hale studied the markers. "Then we don't let them blockade Earth's arsenal." To speak those words was one thing. To make them real required force. Hale began a tour of Earth's defense network. High above the planet, the orbital cannon stations hung like metal titans. Each bristled with railguns so large they stretched across city blocks, capable of tearing a capital ship apart with a single salvo. Engineers guided him through humming corridors, explaining upgrades pushed through in secret. "We've reinforced capacitors," one said, pride breaking through exhaustion. 3 times the discharge rate. Next, Hale inspected the Vanguard, a prototype dreadnought moored in dock, its hull dark and sharp as a blade. Railgun spines lined its flanks, each one an experiment in sheer kinetic brutality. He walked its decks in silence, hands brushing bulkheads. Humanity had poured everything into this ship, knowing a day like this would come. Finally, he visited the stealth frigates. Small, sleek, painted in void black plating. Ghosts in space, designed to vanish until the moment they struck. Their captain saluted, eyes steady. As Hale moved among them, he felt the weight shift. Fear still lingered, but alongside it stood resolve. Humanity might not match the Council's numbers, but their weapons were sharp, and their soldiers sharper still. Internal divide. Back in the war room, divisions cut through the ranks. We can't win an outright fight, Harland argued, voice rising. They outnumber us 50-1. Every fleet they send will crush another colony. We should buy time, accept some terms, at least until we're stronger. Nyla Tran's response was ice. You'd have us bow our heads? They'll gut us piece by piece. Better to fight while we still have teeth. The debate swelled, anger and fear colliding. Hale raised a hand. Silence fell. I sat in their chamber, he said, voice low but carrying. They offered nothing but chains. Every concession leads to another. Tribute today, disarmament tomorrow, extinction the day after. They mean to smother us. Harland shook his head. Then we doom billions. Not doom, Hale countered. Choice. We choose freedom, even if it costs us dearly. If we kneel, there's no earth left worth saving. The room held its breath. One by one, officers nodded, some reluctantly, some with fierce conviction. Rourke spoke last. Then we stand. The ultimatum. The Council's ultimatum arrived less than a week later. A transmission, elegant and merciless, filled the chamber. Veritha's voice carried across the airwaves like a blade wrapped in silk. Humans! The Council offers final clemency. Submit within one cycle. Deliver tribute, dismantle fleets, halt colonization. Failure will mark Earth as an enemy of all civilized space. The image dissolved, leaving silence. They've already massed fleets, Rourke muttered. They'll be on us the second the cycle ends. They expect us to panic, Tran said. Hale stood, shoulders squared. Then we do the opposite. Prepare the defenses. Ready the fleet. We don't wait for their mercy. On the edge. Night's cycle fell on Geneva Station. Hale stood alone in the observation dome, staring at the stars. Each one represented a colony, a hope humanity had carved from the void. Now each was threatened by the Council's shadow. Rourke joined him quietly. Do you ever doubt, sir? Hale's eyes stayed on the stars. Every day. But doubt doesn't change what's true. And what's true? That survival without freedom isn't living. Hale turned to him at last. They think us children playing at Empire. They'll learn we're something else. Rallying the line. The following morning, Hale addressed the gathered fleet officers in Geneva's Grand Hall. Hundreds stood in rigid rows, uniforms sharp, faces solemn. They call us rebels? Hale began. His voice carried across the chamber, measured but fierce. They call us reckless. Dangerous. They believe Earth too small to matter, too weak to resist. They forget what it took to rise from our world's cradle to this place among the stars. Every mile of expansion costs blood. Every world we claimed, we earned with sweat and sacrifice. Now they would strip it away. He let the silence sharpen before continuing. We will not kneel. If war comes, we fight. If blockade comes, we endure. If extinction threatens, we drag them down with us. Better to fall as free men and women than live as slaves. The hall erupted in a roar. Fists struck chests, voices rose in unison. The fear was still there, but now it burned with defiance. Closing. Later, Hale returned to the command deck of Resolute. The tactical display showed alien fleets circling like wolves beyond human space. He studied them with steady eyes. Status? He asked. All stations reporting combat readiness, Rourke replied. Orbital cannons aligned. Dreadnought primed. Frigates deployed. Hale nodded once. Then let them come. The stars glittered cold through the viewport. The cycle ticked away, each second bringing the Council's storm closer. Humanity waited, silent, unyielding, on the edge of history. The Council chamber was filled to the edges, tier upon tier of alien delegates staring down like predators at the kill. Light from the dying star spilled through crystalline walls, giving the vast amphitheater a blood-red glow. Humanity had been given one cycle to submit. That cycle was over. Admiral Marcus Hale stepped to the podium, flanked by guards who treated him less like a guest and more like a prisoner walking to judgment. He ignored them. His uniform was pressed, his stride measured, but the weight in his eyes said he had already decided. Chancellor Vareth rose from the central dais, his robes shimmering like oil on water. His voice carried with practiced grandeur. Admiral Hale, humanity stands at the brink. Have you come to accept the Council's will? The chamber held its breath. Hale looked up, voice calm but unyielding. No. The single word crashed through the silence like a blade. Murmurs surged, claws tapped, wings rustled. Hale let it settle before he spoke again. Earth will not pay tribute. Our fleets will not be dismantled. Our expansion will not be bound by your chains. Humanity does not submit. We walk away. Gasps echoed from the tiers. Some delegates rose in outrage. A chittering chorus of insected envoys shrieked for sanctions. A scaled matriarch slammed her tail against the floor, demanding immediate war. The chamber devolved into chaos. Vareth raised his hand, restoring order. His smile was razor-thin. Walk away? Do you imagine the stars will allow such arrogance? Isolation will strangle your species. Our fleets will encircle your worlds. Your people will beg us for mercy. Hale's gaze never wavered. Try it. Strike us, blockade us, drive us to the edge. We will endure. And in enduring, we will break you. We may not outnumber you, Chancellor, but we will make the cost unbearable. For a moment the council faltered. Hale's words were not bluster. They carried the weight of a man who had already chosen to fight to the end. Vareth's tone hardened. You dare threaten the council? I state fact, Hale replied. Humanity would rather burn than bow. Remember that before you test us. The walkout. Without another word, Hale turned from the podium. His boots struck the obsidian floor, echoing in the chamber, as he walked away from the dais. The guards stepped forward uncertainly, but he brushed past them, unchallenged. The council roared behind him, outrage, disbelief, fury, but he did not look back. In the transport bay, his shuttle waited. As he boarded, Vareth's voice still echoed from the chamber above, calling Earth reckless, declaring that consequences would fall swiftly. Hale sat in silence, hands clasped, eyes fixed on the stars beyond the viewport. When the shuttle broke free of Zyranth Prime's orbit, the council station dwindled behind him, a citadel of power that no longer held claim over Earth. Council's flex. Within hours, the council made its move. Alien fleets massed along human borders. Massive warships, bristling with weaponry, cast long shadows across the void. Probes streaked into human space, scouting positions, testing resolve. Communications carried thinly veiled threats, withdrawal or annihilation. On Earth, panic rippled through the civilian population. News feeds blared images of armadas gathering at the edge of known space. Fear whispered that the human race had invited its own destruction. But in orbit, Hale and his commanders prepared their answer. Earth unveils. The fleet assembled around Earth, silent sentinels gleaming in the light of the sun. Orbital cannons shifted into alignment, their barrels tracking approaching signatures. Dreadnought Vanguard powered up, its massive railguns humming with energy. Stealth frigates returned from the dark, decloaking in perfect formation. Hale stood on the command deck of Resolute, watching the tactical display bloom with red markers, council ships pressing too close. His officers waited for his word. Target the lead probe, Hale ordered. A railgun on the far side of Earth fired, silent but devastating. A shard of tungsten shot through the void at impossible speed. The probe shattered into incandescent fragments, its signal cut short. Message received, Rourke muttered. Moments later, more council vessels appeared at the border. But none advanced further. The standoff. In Zyranth Prime's chamber, reports streamed in. The council watched with unease as Earth's defenses came alive. Orbital cannons, once dismissed as primitive, proved powerful enough to gut a battleship. The Vanguard's silhouette unsettled them, an untested design bristling with weapons no one had seen before. Whispers spread. Attacking Earth would mean losses beyond calculation. Humanity might fall, but the Council would bleed, and their enemies elsewhere in the galaxy would seize the weakness. Chancellor Vareth seethed. His plan had been simple: intimidate a young species into submission. Now the Council hesitated. His own delegates wavered, unwilling to commit fleets to a war that might cripple them. Resolution. On the bridge of Resolute, Hale stood before the stars. Rourke approached, voice low. They're holding, Admiral. No advance. They know we won't fold. Hale nodded. Good. Let them stew in their own fear. He looked out at Earth, blue, fragile, stubborn. Every defense around it was alive, every soldier ready. They were still alone, still outnumbered, but no longer voiceless. Sir, Rourke said quietly, we've made history. Hale's expression softened, just for a heartbeat. History won't remember our fear. Only that we stood. Closing. Days passed, and still the Council fleets lingered, but none crossed the line. Isolation settled over human space, trade cut, allies distant. But Earth endured. Its people rallied, colonies tightened ranks, the fleet held firm. The Council had demanded talks. Humanity had walked away. And though the road ahead would be harsher, every man and woman under the Terran banner knew one thing with certainty: they were free. Hale stood once more at the viewport, stars stretching endless before him. He thought of generations yet unborn, of the weight of the choice he had carried, and of the truth no alien power could erase. He whispered the words again, quiet but certain. We stand. The stars did not answer, but in their silence lay respect.